Okay, this is the third part in my series, Man on Track, the series of videos that is evidencing the foolish nature of Felipe Massa's legal challenge, thinking that somehow you can void a race due to a safety car incident. Okay, so what we'll see here, we don't see a man on track, we see a rogue vehicle on track. What there is in this Grand Prix is two quick succession safety car deployments. But what's really worth watching is what actually happens and who the commentators are and what they say. You might recognise them. One is Martin Brundle, the other's David Croft. The two guys that were employed contracted by the sport of Formula One to lie to you about the Abu Dhabi 2021 fix, to condition your brains to believe, oh, what was going to happen now? Anything can happen. What's going to happen? Safety car, safety car. Oh, are they going to release the lapped cars? We don't think they have to do that in the regulations. It's not mandatory. Nope, absolutely right there, Martin. And if they release them, how long will they wait? Right, because that's what they told us in 2021. But these same two guys back in 2013, the year after the regulations were reintroduced. So in 2012, when the safety car regulations were reintroduced into the sport, this is what they were saying back then. And if any of you still believe that what they were saying in 2021 was authentic, unfortunately, we'll never get through to people like you. But anyway, let's have a look at the 2013 Korean Grand Prix and pay special attention to Martin Brundle and David Croft. And let's have a look at what actually happens.
Track temperature down 4 degrees even on the cooler qualifying track, air just 27. And it seems that something's caught them out. They're getting way more
and that's a tyre that's gone and it's on Sergio Perez's McLaren, or a bit of debris that was on the track.
They'll have to put a safety car out for that. He's lost his tread off his right front.
He has.
They'll have to safety car that and get rid of that debris. It's in a very critical place there on the straight.
Just seemed to unravel itself.
Yeah.
On the straight. Safety car is coming out, Martin, as you rightly said. And a total deflation of that front right tyre for Sergio Perez, causing a huge amount of damage as well to his front wing, and he takes to the escape road just past turn 4, keeps well off the track.
So pitting for tyres while they can, that gives them a chance.
Okay, look at the graphic at the bottom of the screen. We've got drivers which are saying +1 lap. So it looks like Bottas, perhaps, 18 there. PIC is in the pit, so I don't know whether he's on the lead lap or he's been lapped or not. Bianchi, +1 lap, and then CHI, +1 lap. You can see that graphic.
Chance then of getting towards the end.
And what happens? Safety car. Everybody dives into the pits. Crazy shit. Those of us that have been watching this sport for years, we would have never thought that would have happened, would we?
Of the race, that's thrown a spanner in the works for a lot of people, especially those that have just pitted. So that was the only solution.
That's thrown a spanner in the works, especially for those that have just pitted. It's unfortunate, isn't it? It just happens. Something happens in a Grand Prix that requires the deployment of a safety car. Unlucky, this is how the outcome for your race can be impacted. Oh, but what if somebody caused an incident on purpose? What should we do then? Should we void the race? Well, no, you carry out the regulations because it impacts all teams and all teams have to react to it. That's the way things are. We don't void the event. We don't void the event.
As we've got Grosjean in as well then to the top two.
Yeah.
So that'll put Grosjean nice.
In fact, if somebody has actually cheated to create a safety car deployment, well, you disqualify the cheats. They've cheated in the sport. You disqualify them. You ban them from the sport.
Up onto the back of Sebastian Vettel.
Well, won't it just? And Mark Webber had just pitted as well, so I wonder how that affects Mark Webber, who just made his pit stop before the safety car incident. He's now behind Lewis Hamilton again. who's behind Kimi Räikkönen, and there's the debris on the track that is going to need recovering, and that's the view from Sergio Perez's car. Martin, well, front limited circuit, front right tyre gets all the punishment, front right tyre fails.
Yeah, you just answered your own point there, Crofty. It's that's a complete delamination of the right front, and we're going to see it as there's a good old fight going on between Webber. Got himself in front of Hamilton. There goes the carcass of the tyre. Scary.
You saw Mark Webber getting in front of Lewis Hamilton there.
Yeah.
But at the moment, Lewis Hamilton is ahead of Mark Webber on the track.
Well,
just out of interest, let's just highlight when this actually took place and how long it takes. How long will we wait? Now, bearing in mind, this is just a tyre, right? Has come off. Bit of a tyre's come off. Not a car that's crashed. The car hasn't set on fire, and they then don't have to get the crane onto the track to remove that car. Shall we have a guess? How long will we wait? You know, there's bound to be a couple of laps remaining. You know, when there's just 5 and a bit laps to go, is there bound to be a couple? Is this incident going to be dealt with within just 3 laps, so they can have a couple of racing laps? Let's go back to the start. Now I'll fast forward it to here. So 1:05:10. But we'll just restart this. So there it is. They're on lap 31 of 55. Let's see when they get going again. Predict your answer in the comments section, because that'll be really useful, won't it? So we're back to where we were on this replay, and we'll play it through from here.
Well,
so I assume at the end of that straight he must have done it.
They must have passed him. They haven't thrown yellows, or at that point the safety car. So as you say, Webber must have pitted again. He has. He's pitted again, and that's going to put him down the queue, isn't it?
I wonder why. Because he'd just come in for a pit stop, and a lap later, as you see, coming back out.
Unless he's concerned about debris, unless he ran over some debris and they saw a slow puncture or something.
That's definitely possible. Ted?
Yeah, he must have done. I'll go and find out what's going on. The bottom of Perez's plank is on fire. Or was, if it's not too bad already for Sergio Perez. You don't know if you get a replay, you'll see this little flame licking out from the plank on the bottom of the section of the floor, and so it quickly put itself out. It took about 6 or 7 McLaren mechanics to get it up into the air, but yeah, a bit of a mess there, and Pirelli are here to inspect the remnants of their tyre. Not that there is much.
Yeah, thank you, Ted. That's how Hamilton got ahead of Mark Webber, and Webber then coming into the pit. So we have a safety car here at Korea.
So what's going on now? Why aren't they releasing the lapped cars yet? I wonder. Well, could it be that firstly they've got to wait till the field bunches? Once it's then bunched, that creates a window of opportunity for marshals to go onto track to recover the debris in a safe working window. Well, they've got about 1.5 minutes between the last of those bunched up cars going by that scene before the safety car comes back round again, and they can be on track working in relative safety during that period of time. And once the track is then declared as nice and safe, then they do the unlapping procedure. Is that what happens? Or is that just what I've seen that happens every time? But they're just doing like that for no particular reason. It's just random that it just happens to be that way every way. You know, the regulations aren't there for it to happen that way. It's just random. Oh, it's Formula One. Anything can happen. What's going to happen now, kids? What's going to happen? No. There's procedures, and they happen for a reason.
Career again. And eventually someone's going to run onto the track. There we go. And pick up a piece of rubber that Pirelli are going to be quite interested in analysing here.
Yeah, there's some more bits there yet, but they ought to really get out there with a brush.
tyre's not lasting as long as the teams thought as well, and now we see a failure. I wonder how concerned Pirelli are going to be at this moment in time.
Very. You don't like to see that. Punctures are one thing, but I prefer to see that just swept up a little bit across there.
Well, they've got time to do that once the field closed together. There's a few back markers that are going to have to unlap themselves as well. It could be behind this.
I didn't think they had to do that, Crofty. I didn't think it was mandatory in the regulation. Nope. Nope. That's what you told us in 2021. 2013, you're telling us what has to happen.
Safety car for a while.
They're going to be behind that safety car for a while.
Which to some, will be a bonus, Martin, because if the tyres aren't lasting as long, a safety car would have been just what they wanted.
Can help get them to the end. So where then is Webber?
He's down in 11th place.
Yeah, and so crucially then behind Ricciardo, Rosberg, Button, Jensen's right up there. Alonso, Hulkenberg, Hamilton. It's brought Lewis back into play nicely. And Kimi up there in third. So Lotus 2-3 at the moment. But that extra stop has really hurt Mark Webber.
Yeah. Who I think was on for a podium finish here this afternoon.
Yeah, and it's helped Nico, hasn't he? He lost all that time, Nico Rosberg. Yeah. All that time while they changed they couldn't get the nose off where it structurally had failed. For the quick release, they're very...
Oh, what jeopardy! What are we going to see here? How long will they wait? Are they going to let the lap runners through? But it's not mandatory in the regulations, I don't think. But that's usually on a wet day. Oh, but what are we going to see? Are we getting any of that? Are we getting any of that? Or was that just for Abu Dhabi 2021? The contrivance, the fix, where the championship went down to the last lap of the last race of the season. You couldn't make it up, could you? And they had to manufacture that lap by breaking the regulations of the sport. And then the sports governing body went, yeah, it's fine. We're happy with that. That's good. We meant that.
Well, of course, they're quick release systems because they need to change those in a dozen seconds. And sometimes they do fail, as we famously saw with Vettel's at Silverstone that weekend when they gave him Mark Webber's front wing.
Out of interest, Sebastian Vettel being told to burn fuel at the moment, which behind the safety car is perhaps not the easiest thing to do. They feel that they might just be...
that must be a general instruction for the rest of the race.
Yeah.
A general instruction for the rest of the race, can you burn some fuel? No shit.
So, you're right, when they get the pack out of the way...
When they get the pack out of the way, Martin, I thought they could restart. I thought you thought that in the regulations it's not mandatory.
So Webber is a genuine net 11th, isn't he?
Yeah.
There's nobody in front of him that's out of sync, out of position. That's horrible. Lap cars may now overtake. Do it quick and get out of the way.
Right, so we saw Perez's tyre delaminate on lap 31. It's now lap 33, and they're saying lapped cars can now get out of the way, right? Be allowed to be released. All they had to do there was pick up a tyre carcass and maybe do a bit of sweeping. They didn't have to deal with a car that had crashed into a barrier, extinguish a fire because the car set itself on fire. They didn't have to get a crane onto the track, hook up that car, lift it up and drive off the track with it. They then didn't have to check the barriers to make sure that they were capable of withstanding another similar incident, and also then sweep all that track clear. They didn't have to do that, but it's still taken this amount of time. We'll carry on watching.
Well, quite. Unless, of course, you're at Toro Rosso. I mean, I think Webber's gone on to the super soft tyre, which could explain. the pit stop. He's gone on to a tyre that's faster, and he's going to be out of sync with those at the end. According to our tyre data, he is. Let's just have a little look.
A U-set. So has he had a massive lock up there then? Well, the right front looks a bit nasty, that's for sure.
Yeah. Then Raikkonen gets past him there.
So
Sergio Perez.
I'd imagine Perez has had a massive lock up on that right front and literally burned through the tread section down to the carcass.
Meanwhile, Kimi Raikkonen, I'm sure, is glad that he got past Sergio Perez before this happened. That's a violent explosion, isn't it? Ted, down to you.
Confirmation from Red Bull that it was a puncture for Mark Webber, so that is the worst kind of luck, especially when he came in just before. Now, I have to update you about the delamination, the puncture, whatever. Pirelli, Max Damiani is actually down here in the McLaren garage, so I'm just around the back. He's looking at what was left. They need to get the bits that are around the back to see if it was a clear delamination, and we know the form of this, don't we, David? Because we've been through it so much this season, although we haven't had.
I mean, we've just seen a notification there. Lapped cars may now overtake, and it tells you 20, 21, 22, 23. This is the positions of those cars in that race. Now, Martin would tell us after Abu Dhabi that, you know what, even knowing who them lapped cars are isn't as straightforward as you might think, because if the leader pits, then some of those cars may unlap, or some might pit and then get lapped. See, but every time they've managed to identify them, Martin. Are you just gaslighting the audience to pretend that, oh, it's a complicated process? It's not that complicated, is it? And just for the Max fans out there, Baku 2021. I mean, in your eyes, that was probably the first time that a driver has ever suffered a puncture, and therefore, oh, it's so unlucky that somebody got a puncture. They fully deserve to have the championship now gifted to them by breaking the rules to gift them the championship, because they're so unlucky. You had no luck. You fully deserved it, Max. You fully deserved it. It's called motor racing. It can happen. All right, it can happen. It's unlucky.
Pure failures for quite a while since they went back to the 2012.
So we're on lap 34. We've got the notification. Martin Brundle and David Croft had told us this before. So again, because of the chopping and change of the footage, do we actually see when these cars managed to overtake the leader and the safety car? I don't know. I don't know if they've already started the unlapping process on 33, but we're on 34 now.
Construction, identical construction this tyre to last year's, what we raced here last year. So we are back to 2012, so they're having a look at it and they'll let us know as soon as they know, but it'll probably be well after the race.
I'm pretty sure they'll say that was a massive lockup that's just burned through one section. You could see it actually, you could see the big flat spot just before, as he was going through turn one, but whether it was big enough to do that.
Just when we get going here, Martin, you've got Webber on the super soft tyre, the man in front of him.
Nico, for your reference, the front right of the last set was at the end of its life, so we need to do everything to protect the front right. The rest looked okay.
The man in front of Mark Webber on the super soft tyre as well. Now, any chance they can make it to the end of this race? And if they do, what sort of pace are they going to have?
Who's that? There he is, look. Christian to Michael. Why aren't we getting these lapped cars out of the way? I'm trying to deal with this safety incident, Christian. We only need one racing lap. No, there's some mandatory procedures that we've got to carry out here, Christian. Called the safety car procedures. You know this. You've been in the sport for all this time. You know, since 2012, from there through to Abu Dhabi 2021, you've competed in 199 Grand Prix under these regulations, Christian. What are you doing on the radio? Giving that message out, Christian, that's going to be broadcast to the world to condition people's minds to believe, oh, we only need one racing lap. All part of the script, isn't it, Christian?
Have, I wonder, and are they going to be challenging those on the medium compound tyre?
Well, I haven't seen anything to suggest the Supersoft will do 22 laps of this racetrack this afternoon.
Martin hasn't seen anything to suggest that the Supersoft will do 22 laps of this race. But in Abu Dhabi 2021, he would tell us that with 20 laps to go, Max needed to do 20 Schumacher-esque banzai qualifying laps on the set of hard tyres he just had fitted during that virtual safety car period. So Max Verstappen has got this Schumacher-esque ability, right? Because Schumacher had that ability as well to put in 20 qualifying laps on the same set of tyres. Thanks for that, Martin. Thanks for that.
Obviously, car's a little bit lighter, and if the safety car stays out for another couple of laps, that might tip it in their favour, but they've certainly they've taken a bit of a gamble, put it that way.
Alonso's saying on the radio, we will finish easily, so he's pretty convinced he can go to the end of the race, but of course he's on the, well, according to this computer, on a used set of mediums, which surprises me. Thought they'd been new ones. He had two to start the race with.
Yeah, you're right, it did. Now the medium tyre should, now the cars are that much...
Oh, we're crossing the start-finish line again. What's going on here? How long will they wait? I thought we only just needed to get them out of the way, and then we have a motor race on our hands. You don't have to let them go right around the track, and then we have a motor race on our hands. Isn't that right, Martin? Not Martin. Jonathan Wheatley. Jonathan Wheatley.
Much less heavier, and the track has rubbed it in. Should be okay. And out in front, Sebastian Vettel for the second race running has got to survive a restart.
They should let them go at the end of this lap. The pack are half, the unlapped runners are half a lap away now. Just getting the lights out.
The unlapped runners are half away a lap around now. Is that the purpose, Martin, or are you just hyping the show up now? Hyping the show. When did the hype job begin? How many years ago did the hype job begin? When did this new style of hype start infiltrating the sport of Formula One?
We get a lot of people on hashtag Ask Crofty at the end of the...
Hashtag Ask Crofty. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Yes, retards asking questions of corrupt fuckers. Really useful.
Race saying why do we have this rule where the back markers can unlap themselves? It's to basically...
Let me answer that, because Crofty's going to give you some bullshit. At the point in time where a safety incident happens, we've got a field of competitors that are spread around a track. The lead competitor may have started catching and passing some of the competitors that are further down the field. All of those competitors in that race are trying to challenge one another, though, for position. So, for example, if the leader has made it round to catch and pass the car that's in 15th place in that race, 15th place is still trying to catch 14th place. If there's a safety incident requiring the deployment of the safety car will come onto track. The leader will be picked up by that safety car. 14th place will disappear off around the track and join the back of this bunched up safety car snake. 15th place is held back behind the leader, meaning that from being in a position whereby 15th could have challenged 14th, just because the leader has managed to come by and lap 15th, and now a safety car incident has occurred, 15th has effectively now lost a lap on 14th. You cannot allow a safety incident to cause that outcome in a sporting event. Excuse it. So therefore they have these regulations that they carry out to restore sporting fairness to all competitors. Second place gets chance to bunch up to first. Third gets chance to bunch up to second. Fourth gets chance to bunch up to third. Why should 15th now lose a lap on 14th? No. Hence, if you've been lapped, you are released. you're given at least one further lap of that safety car with which to try to make it around the pack and catch that bunch. So therefore we resume racing with all of those gaps wiped out, all of those previously built up advantage nullified. That is the simplicity of it. Tell us, Crofty, what you think. Hashtag AskCrofty. Ask Crofty and get a bullshit answer in return. But this fucker is being paid to lie to you to hype up the show.
To get them out of the way for the restart, and then people are saying, well, can't there be a faster way to do it? And the trouble is, if you just let them drop to the back and therefore let everyone overtake them, then they're going to be an extra lap out of sync, aren't they, on this one? And you never know, that actually might prove costly by the end of the
out of sync, and there'll be an extra lap out of sync. That's not the clear way of explaining it, is it? You can't let them lose a lap on the guy that they were previously challenging. That effectively ruins their race. You can't then just say, okay, let's pretend that you're on the same lap as everybody else. We'll just drop you to the back rather than send you off around the track. We'll just drop you to the back, but pretend you're on the same lap. No, you haven't burnt that fuel up that it would take you to do that number of laps. And those tyres that you're on, they're not wearing away the rubber that they'd wear away on that lap. So again, it skews the situation. They have to complete the same distance. So you have to do it this way. There is no alternative, short of red flagging the race and having a completely different procedure.
the race until they work out a much clever timing system. I'm sure what you
It's nothing to do with working out a much cleverer timing system.
do.
Well, they're lapped anyway.
See, these regulations, this sport has been in existence for a long period of time, and these regulations have been devised over a long period of time for specific purposes. But we get to 2021, and all of a sudden, the world doesn't know what these purposes are. Oh, all of these things that clever people over the course of time have worked out to devise for specific reasons, we no longer know what they are. As a population, we're now all thick as fuck, and nobody knows. We've gone backwards. We've become fucking retarded. This is called progress. But as long as you can make a 15-second TikTok that people are going to laugh at, then it's all good, because this is called progress. This is called progress. Tell us, Martin. In fact, we'll go back to Martin's explanation. Bullshit. Martin Brundle, bullshitter, back in 2013.
You never know, that actually might prove costly by the end of the race until they work out a much clever timing system. I'm sure what you do.
Well, they're lapped anyway, so if they just drop to the back of the pack.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, it helped Mark Webber, didn't it? He was a lap.
They're lapped anyway, so if they just drop to the back of the pack, no, Martin. No, see what you're doing, you're hyping the show up, you're actually lying to people about the purpose of the rule. But the trouble is, Martin, what you know and what those people in the media know is that most people are thick, and therefore they can't work out the actual implications for themselves, and they will believe you as the so-called expert, and consequently you are conditioning the vulnerable minds, the thick fuckers that just watch this because they get excited about it. They don't have the ability to work out what's actually going on, and they'll just believe you. Yeah, they're lapped anyway, so just put them to the back and get them out of the way. That's fine. They don't matter. Oh, but there's this one time where Mark Webber, he was lapped, and they released him, and he did all right out of it. Oh, but it doesn't matter. All these it's all a muddle, isn't it? Nobody knows.
Runner, I can't remember which Grand Prix it was at, and it brought him right into play.
Certainly.
I think it was a German Grand Prix where he was completely last and running completely last in the safety car snake. So he wasn't in the way of the race between the leaders, which is the purpose that you call it. And from being lapped and at the end of the snake as well, they released him. They afforded him the time to catch the back of the snake, so he was on the same lap. And then, because he's still in that race, he did rather well, finished in the points. Got World Championship points out of it. Strange that, isn't it? Strange that.
The trouble is they're now not laps runners. They're now on that lead lap once again. Ted, down to you.
Yeah, a couple of things from down here. First of all, Martin, you're right. Just asking around at McLaren, they say, yeah, we think there's probably the flat spot that caused it as well. Whether that will be what Pirelli say, we will find out at the end of the race. And just quickly on Kimi Räikkönen, he's been on the radio saying, being asked by his team, I should say, can you get to...
Okay, Mark, we're in a tricky position. The plan is to go to the end.
What did we fit option?
We didn't have any more primes, mate.
We needed to put some tyres on, otherwise it'd be a very long pit stop. But yeah, so Webber.
But you'll be all right, Mark. You can do 20 Schumacher-esque bonsai laps, just like Max was going to do to catch Lewis Hamilton at Abu Dhabi 2021, because that's what Martin felt that Max was capable of there.
Can he last to the end? But Räikkönen, them asking him, can you go to the end? And Kimi giving a kind of, okay, well, we'll see how many laps we have under the safety car. This is helping them a bit, and if we have to go, more of this waiting around for lap cars to overtake, then that will help the tyres. But Kimi saying, I think it can go to the end. So that looks like what Lotus are going to try and do.
I reckon we might have one more lap of this safety car, and then we might...
Oh, how long will they wait?
To take, then that will help the tyres. But Kimi saying, I think it can go to the end. So that looks like what Lotus are going to try and do.
I reckon we might have one more lap of this safety car, and then we might be...
You think we might have one more lap? Oh, what is that then?
Okay, lap 32 it came out on, and we're about to finish lap 35.
Wow, those four might want to stop for a cup of tea or something, so we should give them a chance.
If you were Mark Webber, you'd be on the radio saying yes. Just tell...
Are we having a cup of tea now, Martin? Did you have a cup of tea in Abu Dhabi? Oh, I'm too busy lying to the world about the rules of the sport and what might happen, because this is what they're paying me for.
Charles, Jules, Guido and Max, I'll take them out for a nice sushi meal in Japan if they hang about a bit.
So Webber down in 11th, and Räikkönen then back up to 3rd place, because obviously the dramas for Nico Rosberg and Lewis with his tyres and the nose on Rosberg, and then of course Mark Webber having that extra stop. I'm on a plane to Tokyo tonight with Mark Webber and Fernando Alonso. Right now that's looking like a pretty glum trip, isn't it?
Well, they might come across each other on the track as well. You might yet have to sit in the middle of them, but most of the time they're quite good when they get together on the track. 21 cars on the track, by the way. Paul di Resta, for the 4th race running, isn't going to see the checkered flag. He crashed out at turn 12.
See this here? See these cars here? They're the ones that were released. Oh, where are they now? Are they far enough out of the way of the race between the leaders so they don't interfere? Or have they fully caught up with the back of the pack to restore sporting fairness to all competitors? I wonder what the purpose of the safety car regulations are. I wonder.
Korean Grand Prix.
No, it doesn't say that in the regulations. Doesn't say that. The strap-on fanboy will be in the comment section. Look, strap-on fanboy, you are 12. Okay, you don't understand. Take it from me.
That has been led in the main.
Lied to by Brundle and Crofty. There is always a purpose. If you don't understand that purpose, don't argue. Learn.
Part by Sebastian Vettel, but his advantage cut down.
See this guy at the end here, right on the end. That's Jonathan Wheatley. See, you don't need to let them get right away around the track, Michael. And then we have a motor race on our hands. So what were you saying that to Charlie White in there? Were you, Jonathan, or were you just compliant with the rules and regulations of the sport? That you knew what the rules and regulations of the sport are and what their purpose is, but you get to Abu Dhabi and we've thought of a new interpretation of the rules. Strange that, isn't it?
And anxious faces, I'm sure, on that Red Bull pit wall that don't include Adrian.
Christian Horner and Jonathan Wheatley on the end.
Newey, who's not here this week, watching somewhere in a bunker in Milton Keynes.
Safety car will be in at the end of this lap. That's me just saying that. That's hoping somebody hears me.
Well, it should be, because they have now caught up. Bianchi has caught up.
It should be in because they've now caught up. Oh, but you don't have to let them get right around the track, because then we've got a motor race on our... Well, we've not got a motor race on our hands, have we? What's happening here? What's the purpose? What's got to be done?
And Pica's caught up on the back of Valtteri Bottas. So there's no reason why it should now stay out.
Especially on, well, the long laps. That's where it's really grim.
Okay, Sebastian, I just saw you know on the previous stint, the right front tire was gone. There was no margin. Don't think you had anything on hand at the previous stint. Right front gone.
Safety car is in this lap. That's not me saying.
Oh, safety car in. So we're going to get racing again on lap 37. We saw that tyre exploded on lap 31. Just after the start of lap 31, because they come out the pit lane, you saw where Perez locked up going into turn 1 and then coming down that next straight, his tyre exploded. So the incident took place probably 0.1 of a lap into lap 31. So you've lost 0.9, because then you get the yellow flags. So in terms of how racing is affected, 0.9 of that lap remaining, and then you've got lap 32, which is when the safety car was actually started to be deployed on track, 33, 34, 35, 36. 5.9 laps of motor racing is lost due to a safety incident, and that was just to clear up a tyre that had exploded, not a crash car that had set itself on fire that you needed a recovery vehicle on track to deal with. Abu Dhabi 2021. Martin Brundle, right, and David Croft are commentating on this event. It takes 5.9 laps from the moment that it took place to resume racing. 5.9 laps. There were 5.4 laps of Abu Dhabi. It happened. Oh, there's bound to be a couple of racing laps in this one. There's only 5.4 laps left. There's bound to be a couple. There's a car that needs recovering. Oh, it's caught fire. This is looking like a safety car finish. You never heard that, did you? You never heard this is looking like a safety car finish. Lewis Hamilton is on course to become an 8-time world champion. You never heard that, did you? Why? Why?
That's actually official now, Martin Brundle. The stewards have listened to you on this one.
No, they haven't, but...
Yeah. Now, Kimi Räikkönen, what does he do? Does he attack his teammate at this restart? Romain Grosjean's been told by the team, mate, get your elbows out. You know, go and drive and be aggressive out there.
Grosjean's their man now. Kimi's thrown his lot in with another team. It's Grosjean they're cheering for.
Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso will be desperate to get past Nico Hülkenberg, who's held him up for far too long as far as Alonso's concerned in this race. Jenson Button is there trying to fend off Rosberg. Maldonado will have the super soft tyre shod Toro Rosso of Daniel Ricciardo, and then the Red Bull with the super soft sort of Mark Webber right behind him. And it's Vettel, it's Grosjean and it's Räikkönen, the three out in front as we can go racing once again past the safety car line, and we're back underway here in Korea. Sebastian Vettel leads them over the line, and is Kimi Räikkönen just gaining a little bit there on Romain Grosjean? He certainly might be by the time we get to turn 3, all in a single file as they go around there. Webber has a little look at Ricardo, Perez has a little look at Felipe Massa. Now, no DRS of course, that'll come in a couple of laps time, but Kimi certainly getting a bit closer to his teammate Romain Grosjean, and Lewis Hamilton having to fend off Nico Hülkenberg as well, and Hülkenberg looks to have taken Hamilton and moved himself up into 4th place, and he has. Rosberg having to defend from Maldonado, and there's Adrian Sutil, and he's taken Mark Webber at turn 3. Adrian Sutil coming from a long way back, and
Webber's
Mark
on
Webber
fire.
has got a fire at the rear of that Red Bull on the left-hand side, and his race is pretty much over now. Hamilton having to defend against Fernando Alonso, who's getting a very keen there indeed, and Mark Webber having to get out of that Red Bull as quickly as he possibly can. And the safety car restart full of drama, and Mark Webber's...
Adrian Sutil went bowling in Korea. Oh, Mark Webber fully deserves to have the FIA break the rules of the sport to Gift him the championship. You had no luck all year, Mark. You had no luck all year. You fully deserved it, Mark. You fully deserved it.
Korean Grand Prix ending up with thick black smoke and huge flames.
Critical, they need to get the fire out, of course, but he doesn't need to be losing one of his 8 engines either, with it getting melted. So Webber then just a sitting duck, and well, that could be the final shots from that camera anytime soon.
That's a massive fire. Where are the extinguishers down there? Where are the marshals?
There's a big runoff area there, and of course, you know, we're a long way from back. There we go, yes. Get in there.
Well,
it's not going out anytime soon. I think they've obviously broken an oil cooler in the side pod there. Oh, look at this!
Here goes Kimi Raikkonen and Romain Grosjean going into turn 1. Raikkonen has moved himself up into second
Under yellow flag conditions, what's going on there?
place.
What's going on here? That's not the safety car.
And
what's that doing on the track?
That is not the safety car.
The safety car's deployed now.
Is that some sort of fire marshal's car? It is a fire car.
Yeah, but that's gone out of its own accord. That hasn't been sent out onto the racetrack. Charlie Whiting will be doing his pieces.
And now
that's just...
There's the safety car.
The safety car at the back of the pack instead of the front. Somebody's obviously decided to put a fire marshal on the track. Wow.
It would be comical if it wasn't quite so serious. Quite frankly, you can't just bring cars out onto a Formula 1 racetrack, whether you think that there's a problem that needs attending to or not. It's got to be, well, unless it has been authorised by Charlie Whiting.
No chance.
Yeah.
He would have neutralised the race first.
No chance. He would have neutralised the race first. Why is that? Oh, because there's procedures. There's a set of regulations and there is a set of procedures. If there is a safety incident, this is what you have at your disposal to deal with that safety incident. You deploy the safety car, and then when it's safe to do so, if you then need to put other vehicles on track, you do so. Didn't happen. Failing of the FIA. What do? They learn from that. Make amendments for the future so it doesn't happen again. 2021 happens. Oh, we've forgotten all of the rules. Nobody knows what any of the rules are for, and in doing so, we can manipulate the outcome of this event. And as long as we get someone to shout about it and keep all the kids excited, we can pretend that this is all authentic. This is what's happening to you in your lives. You're being conditioned to believe bullshit by bullshit media that are presenting the corrupt agenda of criminals, affecting your lives. They made themselves a shitload of money after Abu Dhabi 2021. It's a global fraud. They defrauded the global population. It's a crime. Nobody's doing anything about it. But Massa and his lawyers, they want to make Massa $80 million in compensation for Massa's team getting it wrong. Oh, the team of lawyers. They'll make that argument, won't they? Why? Oh, somebody's offering them some money. So, corrupt lawyers, yeah, honey, what do you do for money? What do you do for money? Anyway, that'll do for this one. This is the history of Formula One that none of us knew. None of us ever knew this. We never knew anything about Formula One. We'd not seen what happens in a safety car situation. So when Abu Dhabi 2021 happened, anything can happen. None of us knew that it could have been a safety car finish, and therefore you can get away with lying to the world about what should have happened. Corrupt bastards.